Hi, welcome to this webinar. My name is Amy Unger. I'm here with Don Thompson today, and we're going to be talking about what makes a premium e-liquid premium. So first things first, I'd like for Don to tell us a little bit about himself. Take it away, Don.
Thanks, Amy. I started vaping, I don't know, 5 years ago or so when I was in college. Basically, I was walking out of school one day, walking past the smoker's little circle, and I was like, wow, who's baking cookies? That smells great. Didn't think about it, went on to where I was going. A couple days later, I did the same thing, and all of a sudden, now the smoker circle smelled like strawberries. I stopped, I was like, all right, who's got strawberry smelling cigarettes? And a friend of mine came out who's in the same major as I am, and he's like, Don, it's not cigarettes. And he showed me this big metal tube and took a big hit, blew this big cloud out, and it smelled like strawberries. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool stuff. What is that? He said, well, this is vaping. And I was like, well, what's vaping? And a couple hours later, he educated me a little bit. He pointed me to places to go do some research on, and I said, wow, I'll bet I could help my then girlfriend out because she's been struggling to quit smoking. So helped her out, bought her some hardware. We bought some liquid. I started to do it as a hobby just to support her. Well, that hobby led to me starting the Zen Vapor. So, a hobby became kind of a passion, became kind of an obsession. And here I am with my own company as the show for it.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I think our audience is a mixed group of people who may be new to vaping, people who are experienced. Can you just give us a real high-level explanation of the difference between premium and other e-liquids on the market?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. So there's premium e-liquid and there's budget e-liquid. Let's talk about budget stuff first. Now, I do not want to disparage budget e-liquid. There's some really good budget stuff out there. I mean, really tasty. But generally, it's a pretty straightforward flavor. They tend to be simple formulas. They basically have it like they make it one day, sell it the next day, so you get it. It's a couple of days old. So let's take a real popular flavor, blue raspberry. That's probably one blueberry flavoring, one raspberry flavoring, and some sweetener. Boom, done. So essentially, that blue ras tastes like a blue ras slushy, or a blue ras Slurpee is what they call them around my neck of the woods. On the other hand, premium liquids, they have like nuanced, layered, complex flavors. Their recipes are much more complicated because of what it takes to make that complexity, what it takes to make those layers. They also have a longer development cycle. I mean, there's some trial and error involved. There's some you kind of get on a road and you get close, and then you get closer and closer and closer until finally you get to where you're looking for. So mostly complex and layered, more complicated recipes, and definitely longer development cycles. That would be the basic difference between budget lines and premium lines.
Okay, so from hearing you right, it sounds like you have better ingredients, which lead to better tasting formulas. So why should a vapor care about better ingredients?
Well, okay, let's just take one thing. There are my line, and there's like a couple of other lines that I know about that I buy their stuff, they buy mine, that we don't use added sweeteners. So there's lots of sweetened juices out there that are lovely. They're great. They really taste good. They're very flavorful. A lot of people use them as their all-day vape. There's other people that don't like all that sweetness. They want their stuff to taste like real food. So we don't use added sweeteners. The biggest benefit of no added sweeteners is it's really kind to your cotton and coils. Whether you're wicking up your RDA every day or you're putting like a fresh coil in, when you're vaping sweetened juice, basically you might be changing that coil out every other day or sometimes even every day. Sometimes you get 3 or 4 days. With no added sweetener juice, you get weeks and weeks out of cotton, weeks and weeks out of a coil. So your basic $15 5-pack of coils could last you, I don't know, 8 weeks, maybe a couple of months, as opposed to a week with a sweetened juice. The other thing about sweeteners is a lot of folks, and once again, not meant to disparage anybody, but a lot of people use sweeteners to kind of cover up maybe a perfumey note. they wanted to get that candied strawberry, whatever flavoring they had to use to get that, causes the whole recipe to taste a little bit perfumey. So they hit it up with sweeteners, and that's what covers that up. Or some people that just don't care as much about what their flavors taste like, they just dump a lot of sweetener in it because it just hides a bad recipe. I believe, as well as many other premium companies out there, that a good recipe should stand all by itself. It doesn't need extra sweeteners. It should taste just like what it's supposed to taste like.
Great, thank you. So I kind of want to hear a bit more about the approach to creating one of these premium e-liquids. Can you share a little bit about a way to go about making a line like that?
Okay. Basically, there's two types of vapors out there. There's the guy here. Let me demonstrate. So there's a guy, he does this. He's like, wow, turn my mod on. He just wants to blow big clouds. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to like hotbox my room here. So all he wants to do is blow big clouds. He doesn't really care so much about what it tastes like. Maybe he does a little, but he's all into that macho, I can blow the biggest cloud out there kind of a thing, which is cool. It's all good. Whatever keeps you as a non-smoker, that's all good. There's other folks, and I fall into this latter category, who just like flavor. The cloud chaser basically opens his airflow wide open. He wants the biggest possible cloud of vapor he can get each time he takes a puff. The flavor chaser closes down that airflow, basically wants all of that dense, pure vapor because he wants as much flavor as he can. That's me. So premium lines, a lot of premium lines, I should say, their vape flavors are based on real fruits or real foods. Basically, they're going to taste like the food that they're modeled after. All right, I have a good friend in the business. They make a flavor that tastes like cornbread pudding. If you know this flavor, then you know how good it is. Cornbread pudding is sweet. It's creamy. It's got that sweetened corn in it. It's got the caramelized top, and this cornbread pudding tastes just like that. I mean, just like the food. It's like eating a dessert, but it has no calories. I've got some stuff that's kind of like that too. Imagine, if you will, you're a younger person, sit in front of the TV on a Saturday afternoon. You've got a big bowl. You've got that filled with milk, and you got a full box of Fruity Pebbles. Fill the bowl, eat the bowl. Fill the bowl, eat the bowl. Fill the bowl, eat the bowl. 4 or 5 times. Now the box is empty, and you're going to get in trouble, but you really don't care. So you drink some of the milk, and then that milk in the bottom that has a couple little soggy Fruity Pebbles left in it, what does that milk taste like? Yeah, you remember that, right? That milk tastes amazing. I've got a vape flavor that tastes like that. And that's what we're talking about. That took months to develop. It took lots of different kinds of flavors to develop that milk that was sweetened without actually adding extra sweeteners. So the biggest thing that I believe in is that it should taste like the food that it's based on. And there's a lot of other companies out there that share that same belief.
So it sounds to me like these premium lines, the development cycle could be pretty lengthy. Do you have any other good stories of describing what it took to create some of these food-based flavors?
Amy, I always have good stories. So here's the thing. Really good flavors take time to develop, some longer than others. I'm going to tell you 2 stories, 2 really funny stories. So in my area, in the Philadelphia area, I'm from Philadelphia. I live just south of Philly in Delaware now. But there's this restaurant, and they make the most amazing cheesecake that money can buy. I mean, outside of going to Brooklyn, which is where the birth of New York style cheesecake came from, outside of driving to New York City to buy a piece of real cheesecake, this is pretty much the best stuff that's out there. So when I decided to make a cheesecake flavor that I was going to put all kinds of fruit and caramel and all different things on top of, I wanted to have that cheesecake taste just like this restaurant's cheesecake. So I'm talking about the creamy, super good cheesecake flavor, that little bit of brown on top, the buttery graham cracker crust. I wanted to duplicate all of that. And I figured, what a better way than to actually do a comparison. So I I developed what I thought was a good cheesecake base. Did a lot of research, put some flavors together, went to the restaurant, bought a piece of cheesecake, went out to my car, took a bite, took a vape, took a bite, took a vape, got really frustrated because, well, the vape tasted nothing like the cheesecake. And I would have been pretty satisfied to think that that cheesecake vape tasted like cheesecake at that point. So went back, altered the recipe a little bit, had to let it sit for a couple of weeks because, all creams have to sit for a little in order to let the cream blossom and get bigger and develop the nuance and the complexity of the flavor. Went back to the restaurant, bought another piece of cheesecake for $8, trundled out to my car, took a bite, took a vape, took a bite, took a vape. Now it didn't have any buttery crust. I'm like, man, went back. Now I did this 14 times. By the sixth time, the lady, she's like, oh yeah, Mr. Thompson, you want another piece of that plain cheesecake, right? Or did you want two? Nah, just one. Went out. And on the 14th try, I took a bite, took a vape. I was like, oh my, that tastes really good. Put everything down, drove to a friend of mine's house who is a very experienced vapor, very sensitive palate, and he loved me enough to hurt my feelings. So I knew if it was really bad, he would tell me. I took it, I handed him the bottle. I said, tell me what you think of this. Tell me what it's like. What is that? What am I handing you? He took one sniff and he said, I don't even have to taste this. This tastes like blah, blah, blah restaurant's cheesecake. I was like, yes, I did it. And it took a long time, like 14 times. That's 28 weeks. That's 6 months. That's 6.5 months to develop one note of a multi-layered flavor. I mean, I have blueberry cheesecake, strawberry cheesecake, soon enough in Europe and other areas of the world besides the United States, I'm going to have like chocolate and caramel cheesecake. So, but all of it had to taste like that cheesecake that you got from that certain restaurant. Another story, I'll try to be real quick. So I want to talk about chocolate for a second. Chocolate is a really difficult flavor to do. I mean, because we have Hershey bars, we have Linder balls, we have all this like Godiva, we have all this high-end chocolate. So we really know what good chocolate tastes like. We know what bad chocolate tastes like. So when I was first starting the company, I love donuts. And I specifically love donuts that are made in a certain place. In Philadelphia, there's a place called the Reading Terminal. It's right above a major train station. And it's a farmer's market, like, lots of different stalls. But there's a bakery there called Byler's Bakery, and they've been there since the 20s. I mean, baking some of the best donuts money can buy. These donuts are like this big. And what you're getting is just a taste of heaven, like donut nirvana. So I wanted to pattern a Boston cream donut after these guys' Boston cream donut. So I pretty much did the same thing. I developed the Bavarian cream. That was actually fairly easy because I was getting good at creams by this point. I developed the donut layer, got them both kind of sitting right together where you took a bite, you got the donut at first and the cream came on the exhale. The chocolate, whew, man, chocolate is frustrating. Let me tell you, I would get this donut and cream and what I thought was chocolate on top of it, go 25 minutes to Philadelphia, go to the Reading Terminal when it was still open, buy a donut, take a bite, take a vape, and get really mad because the vape chocolate tasted nothing like the real chocolate. So what took me maybe 3 or 4 iterations to get the cream and the donut, it took me 27 more iterations to get the chocolate right. And I mean, I was like a dog with a bone. I would go back and same thing. Girl knew my name by the 6th or 7th trip. She's like, she knew what I was doing. She's like, man, you still don't have that chocolate down yet, huh? And it would just like make me mad, But anyway, so I got to the point at one point, went out to my car and said, wow, I think I did it. I think I effing did it. Went to my friend's house and said, Bobby, tell me what this tastes like. And he filled his tank up, took a hit, put that down, got his favorite RDA out, put some on his RDA, dripped it, took a hit. He's like, this might be the best chocolate vape I have ever tasted. And at that point, he had been vaping for like 4 or 5 years. And this was 5 years ago. So I was like, wow, I think I'm onto something here. Brought it out, and it is regarded by many to be the best Boston cream donut you can buy. But if I'd have quit after the 7th or 8th iteration and said, well, it's close enough, it would just be some, nebulous kind of run of the mill, kind of tastes like a Boston cream donut, but not really. But when you bite into a bite of gratitude, you're getting Bavarian cream and a donut and this sweet, thick milk chocolate ganache that's slightly dark. So it's got a little bit of bitterness in it, just like this Byler's Bakery Boston cream donut. So the more you stay after it, the more real it's going to get, and the better the flavor is going to be, and everyone's going to love it.
That's awesome. And now I'm really hungry. Um,
Yeah,
so who would like a premium e-liquid?
well, there's two things. Just like the slide says, you've got like the guy who's just quitting smoking, you know, and there's where my heart is. Just to kind of take it aside. I lost both my parents to smoker-related lung cancer. My dad a long time ago, my mom more recently, about 6 years ago. She passed away 3 months before my 6-year-old son was born. So she never got to hold him. She never got to play with him. She never got to see what would have been her youngest grandson. So this stuff is really personal for me. This is what fuels my flame. This is what drives my passion. So my heart goes out to that guy or the girl who just, they're tired. They're tired of smelling like smoke. They're tired of what it's doing to them. It's slowing them down. It makes it harder to breathe. All of the stuff that they're reading about, all the carcinogens are giving them, bad diseases. That person, when they quit, they might want something that tastes like something they're familiar with. Now they have no taste buds yet because that's what smoking does. It just kills your sense of taste. But if they can find something that tastes like something that they remember, whether it's a donut or a bowl of cereal or a bowl of pudding, whatever, if they can find that and it's good right away, they're going to be encouraged to keep on vaping. If they get a liquid that tastes nasty or horrible, they're going to throw it in the trash and say, screw this thing. It doesn't work. Well, it really does work. I mean, there's studies that have come out in the last year and a half that show that vaping basically helps more people to quit smoking than all of the other smoking cessation modalities combined in their entire history. Vaping has done this in 5 years, more than all the rest combined. So this novice, if they can find something that they like right away, they're going to latch onto that, and they're going to maybe stay a non-smoker. They're going to live longer. They're going to have a healthier life. They're going to be around for their spouse, their kids, their mom, their dad, whatever. But they're going to have a better quality of life because they vape and they're not ingesting all those carcinogens by smoking cigarettes. And at the same time, premiums are for like guys like me. I'm an experienced vapor. I've been vaping for 5 years. I have a refined palate. I have a very sensitive palate. You give me something that tastes like crap, I'm going to take a hit. I'm going to, no, I don't want this. That tastes nasty, But good premium e-liquid is subtle. It's nuanced. It's complex. It's got layers. It's got maybe sometimes lots and lots of layers. There's a couple of vape companies out there that, man, I don't know how they do it. They get 5, 6 layers going and you can taste everything. So that experienced vapor, he's got a couple of favorite vapes, favorite brands, favorite flavors. Maybe he's got a favorite flavor and he tries it with, several different companies because he likes the different experiences that each one of their versions of a given flavor gives them. So premium e-liquid winds up being pretty much worth the money spent.
Fantastic. And is there anything else folks need to know that might set premium e-liquids aside, make it worth that extra investment?
All right. My method. All right. I'm just going to share a little bit about me for a second. I mean, don't want to make this an infomercial about Zen Vapor, but a lot of other companies do this as well. No matter the size, I am always ever going to make my stuff by hand in small batches. The labs that I utilize, both the United States, Canada, all over the world, handmade in small batches. And then that's put in a bottle, it's put up on a shelf, and it's steeped. It's pre-steeped before it's bottled, before it's got nicotine in it. That way, by the time you get something from your favorite vape shop or you get something off a website, it's going to be bigger and better, and it's going to have that complexity and nuance and those layers I was talking about. So what you wind up with is something that tastes great right away. A lot of budget brands, they make it one day, they ship it the next day. and that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, once again, not to disparage anybody, but then you get that and you've got to toss it in a drawer often for a couple of weeks to let that thing kind of matriculate into something that tastes like what's on the label. So it's the whole Slurpee versus the real food. I mean, sometimes I like having a Slurpee. Slurpees are wonderful. Sometimes I want that bite of real cheesecake, or I want that bite of Boston cream donut, or that spoonful of amazing cereal. It just depends on what you're after. But premium e-liquids are going to give you that real food flavor. It's not going to taste like an imitation, like a shadow. It's going to be just like the real thing.
Great. Thank you. And I did want to ask if you could explain why the Zen name and the Zen-oriented flavors as well.
All right. Why the Zen Vapor? It is an odd name, I'll admit, but the Zen Vapor represents a lot of the lifestyle choices I make. I choose to live simply. I choose to surround myself with people who bring me joy. I choose to do what I say and say what I do and have integrity. I live by a version of the golden rule that I call the platinum rule. You can look it up. It's pretty popular. And it says, do unto others as they would have done unto them. So think on that a second, meditate on that, muse on that a little bit, and you'll see that that's pretty cool. I'm not doing unto you like I would have you do unto me. I'm doing unto you the way you would want to have it done unto you, whatever that is. So for me, all the names of the flavors, gratitude, clarity, focus, nirvana, bliss, transcendence, all of this stuff is either stuff that I desire in my life, aspire to, or have a little measure of. I mean, every day I wake up and I try to think about all the things I'm grateful for, whether it's a roof over my head, good health, the love of good friends and family, all of that stuff. And if you can live in that space, then, your life tends to go a little bit better. You do a lot of kind things and gentle things, and, not because you want to be recognized for it, but because you just want to do it. It's what's in your heart to do. Then you wind up getting some of that back in what's called karma. It's the cause and effect thing. You sow good stuff, you get good stuff happening to you back. So that's kind of like why the company is what the company is.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you everyone for watching. Hope you learned a little bit about what makes a premium e-liquid a premium. And I hope you're enjoying the show. Thanks so much. Thanks, Don.
All right. See you.
Bye.